Also around the NFL slate today, make sure to set those fantasy lineups. There is a 9:30 kick across the pond as the Vikings take on the Browns in the 1 o'clock window. The Texans battle the Ravens in a matchup of surprise 1-3 teams. In the late window, big-time quarterback matchup with the Commanders taking on the Chargers. Obviously tonight, Patriots-Bills, and tomorrow night your matchup is the Chiefs and the Jaguars. Couple of major upsets in college football yesterday. UCLA beat number 7 Penn State 42-37, and Florida beat number 9 Texas 29-21. In the ranked matchups, number 3 Miami beat number 18 Florida State 28-22, and number 10 Alabama beat number 16 Vanderbilt 30-14. In the MLB playoffs, the Brewers, Blue Jays, Dodgers, and Tigers all won the first game of their divisional series yesterday. The Blue Jays-Yankees series and Tigers-Mariners series continue later today. The NL is back in action on Monday. The Bruins beat the Washington Capitals 4-1 in their preseason finale yesterday. Nikita Zadorov scored 2 goals in that one, and the New England Revolution lost 4-1 to Inter Miami last night. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-thru oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub, your next update at 9 o'clock.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app, the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle. The show that's all Patriots, all football, all year long. The clutch wins, the tough losses, and the game-changing plays. This is the show that has it all covered. Sunday Kickoff, brought to you in part by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka. Now, here are Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
Welcome into Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff Week 5 edition. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle with you. Ryan Garvin behind the glass. As the Patriots are getting ready for Sunday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. It's been a minute, Cerrone, since we've done this show not directly leading into a Patriots game. I guess we did have the Thursday night game last year, and we had that Saturday game against the Chargers I think you were here for.
Yeah,
we basically just did a venting post game. But it's been a while since we've had this. The Patriots in prime time. A real, not the league gives you one because you have to have one Thursday night game primetime matchup. Real primetime matchup for the New England Patriots against the Buffalo Bills tonight. Patriots trying to get over 500, obviously pull off a massive upset in the division. The number, I have it at 7.5 right now. It's been changing. I think it opened at 8.5 this week. I believe it was at 10 at one point, maybe last week. But a legitimate kind of big game for the New England Patriots tonight, I would say.
Yeah, it is. It's a big game, and I think it's a game where I think a lot of attention, a lot of eyes are going to be on Drake Maye. I think this is not his it's weird. It feels like a national debut for Drake Maye. I know people have seen him and watched him play and all this, but it seems like the first time all the eyes are really on him in a real meaningful game and
potential coming out party sort of thing.
Yes. And it's one of those games where depending on how he goes is what the story is going to be nationally about him for the rest of the week or for weeks ahead, because the schedule kind of lightens up. But you think if he's getting a lot of attention last week, if he pulls off a big win this week, he's going to be the talk of the town for the next 14 days. So
before we get into that, just to blow it up big picture here, because I've kind of been hyping this up all week, and here's how I look at this game. And there's maybe an extent of it with Drake Maye too, but I think for the Patriots as a whole, they housed the Carolina Panthers last week. They had one rough drive at the beginning of the game. After that, I don't know what more realistically you can ask for them to do. And people will point to, well, that Panthers team sucks. Yeah, they do. That's what a good team should do against a sucky team. They should run them out of the building. It should be non-competitive, which that game was. So, box checked, because they've played some very low-level teams the last few years and have not done that. You know, they've checked a bunch of boxes they hadn't checked since late in that 21 season when they blew out the Jags and the Jets, or going back to 2020 and the Cam Newton years. Their first win at home in September since the Cam Newton year. Even some boxes that got checked for the first time since 2019. So they needed a route. They got a route. It's all well and good. Fully acknowledging the Panthers suck. Now you go to the other end of the spectrum, and you go from playing potentially the worst team in the league to potentially the best in Buffalo. And it's going to look different. I don't think they're going to beat the Bills 42-13. Sorry if that's upsetting to anybody. That I don't see that one happening tonight. A lot would have to happen to see that result. But can they keep it close? Can they make the Bills sweat? Can they bring it down to the wire? Can they play a full 60-minute game? And what I'm building to here, what I'm excited to see is when we come back in on Monday, I want to have the conversation. Who are the Patriots closer to? Are they closer to the bottom of the barrel doormat Carolina Panthers or the Super Bowl contender Buffalo Bills? And it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
But I think, I'm going to hold people's feet to the fire this week when I do my shows. Pick one or the other. I'm hoping they're closer to the Bills, obviously. I don't think that that's an unrealistic expectation. Beating the Bills convincingly is. Beating the Bills, it could happen. It's divisional football. It's weird. I don't think it's likely. I'm going to pick the Bills. Spoiler alert for later in the show. But can they show that they're closer to what the Bills are than what the Panthers are? That's really what I'm looking for tonight.
And to be fair, if we're going to hold the Patriots competition last week against them, we're going to have to do that about the Bills' whole schedule. I think combined, all the teams they played have 2 wins.
And they have not picked up the style points. And I'll give them, they had the Miami game was close. I think most divisional football games at this point are just close. I think that's life in the NFL at this point. They should not have played a close game with this dreadful New Orleans Saints team. That should not have happened. Yeah,
it was a fairly close game. I think they pulled away late. I think we have to look at that Ravens game now completely different. I mean, to open the season, that was a great game. The Ravens defense we thought was going to be great to start the season. They haven't. Now they got the injuries. But, I mean, they had the Saints, they had the Jets, they had the Dolphins. So, I mean, they've had Panthers. They've played the Carolina Panthers the last 3 weeks. But we all know the Bills are good. We know they have an elite quarterback, one of the top right now, 2 in the league. Yeah. We know they have playmakers. We know they have experience. They're tough to beat, on the road, all those things. But like you said, it's a divisional game. And as bad as the Patriots have been the last few years, the one team they figured out a way to seem to beat was always the Bills. I don't know why. But it's kind of like the Patriots with the Bills is like the Patriots going down to Miami. It was no matter what the records were, you kind of had to throw all that out the window. But I do think this Patriots team can keep this game close. I don't know if I'm going to pick them to win it. But I think they can keep it close and keep it competitive and show that they belong not in that class of like the Bills are the top teams in the league, but they belong, closer to more of the competitive teams than what we've seen from some of these teams around the league the last few weeks.
Are you taking a moral victory this week? I know that's kind of been a buzzword around here, usually a negative connotation for the Patriots, but given where they've been, where they're going, you accepting a moral victory this week?
No, not at all. Expectations for this team are too high. I honestly believe that if they had Gonzalez to start the season, this team might be sitting there with probably 1L. That's about it. And I think we have to change the expectations for this team to show that you can compete with a divisional rival, that you can compete with a Bills team. That's yes, they got Josh Allen and some key pieces, but to show that you can, they're not defending Super Bowl champ. To me, they're not the Eagles. I think the Eagles are a way more complete team. They just do everything well on both sides of the ball.
Except pass the ball, apparently, according to the wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The only reason they don't pass the ball because they never really had to.
They don't always need to. No, I'm with you. I think that thing's a little overblown.
But I think I wouldn't look at them the same way I would the Eagles. Now, you play the Eagles team, you keep it to 3 or whatever. So that's a good moral victory for the Patriots. This Bills team, no, I think they can be had. I think you can beat this team. I think you can compete with this team. And I think we have to see them against a caliber opponent like this, their first real one of the season, and see where they are. But I look at the Steelers game going into that, or looking at the schedule in August. We said what that Steelers team is: Rodgers, they have Watt, they have the coaching, all those things. If you put the ball on the ground 4 times or whatever it is, you should have blown that Steelers team out. And it shows that you can compete with one of those better teams. And I expect them to compete against this team today. And no, I'm not going to be satisfied if they go out there and lose to the Bills. Not at all. I want to see them try and win this football game, and I think they have a chance to.
What do you make of the Bills spot? Because we've talked a lot about the Patriots. They're coming in, feeling good. Drake Maye's coming off that performance against the Panthers. Stefon Diggs comes in off a good game. He's going back to Buffalo. We'll get into that later in the show. And, they're at 2-2 through the first half of the season, which is kind of where we expected them to be, which them being where we expected them to be almost feels like it's progress at this point. Meanwhile, we just talked about it. The Bills struggled against the Dolphins 2 weeks ago, struggled against the Saints last week. Like, they're hearing that the Patriots are the upstarts, Drake Maye's the next Josh Allen and all that. That is the one thing I wonder. Are you getting a Bills team that's coming in looking at this not just as a get-right game, even though they won last week, not just as a get-right game, but a game like if we're doing radio in Buffalo right now, what are we talking about? The Bills need to reestablish themselves as the class of the AFC East and the class of the AFC. And do you get a Bills team that honed in on the details, is going to be on their P's and Q's tonight, and is kind of using this national stage as a reminder of who they really are?
Yeah, at the Bills, I think if we're doing radio in Buffalo right now, I wouldn't call it a must win, but you have to,
not a must win, but it can't lose.
You can't lose this game. You can't lose to this Patriots team. That's they win. They're a game behind you. You're in the division. You're going to see them again, but this time in New England. Down the line, the Patriots, you're looking at the Patriots schedule saying, hey, they can reel off some wins here. They can get a few going, and we can be battling this team as time goes on. We can't let them get confident and think that they're better than us. We can't, no matter what. I mean, they've been going at each other for so many years, decades. You can't let the Patriots get what they feel is an upper hand on you, and you have to come out swinging. Now, will the Bills do it, or will they think, oh, it's just the Patriots? We got them. We kind of take them lightly. They can't do that against this Patriots team. And look, you go in there, you find yourself in a situation to where you're down, or you gotta they came back against the Ravens in week 1. Not saying the Patriots are gonna get up like that, but you have to establish dominance against this team and let them know they're still not on your level. We're still better than you. We still own you for right now. But I think you got to go out there and you got to win this game if you're Buffalo. And I think they have to win it convincingly. I think with them, you can't let the Patriots be like a 1-point game or something like that, because now you still feel you're on their level. I think the Bills feel they got to go out there and blow this team out.
You want to join us to talk about this matchup? 617-779-0985. We're also on YouTube if you want to check the show out there. I do want to get into the Drake Maye of it all as he goes back to Buffalo, where he had one of his better performances last year. We'll check in with Christopher Price of the Boston Globe coming up as well, go around the league. And we got to get a college football minute in as well. All that coming up at Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
battling through, playing 4 quarters of football. That's going to matter. Playing on the road, 4 quarters matters. You can't just play a half, and you can't just show up, at the beginning and at the end, but playing, full 4 quarters and going to a hostile environment and bringing our own energy. Also, not taking it as a end-all, be-all for this week. We got a lot of long season ahead, but this is a great checkpoint to see, what we got and what we can handle.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. Kind of like I talked about in that opening segment, Cerrone. Like, coming at it today, the big thing I want to talk about is, all right, we saw them against the Carolina Panthers, who are at the bottom of the league. We saw them against the Buffalo Bills, who are at the top of the league. Who are the Patriots closer to? And are they, they beat the Panthers up badly? What's going to happen against Buffalo? Do they get beat up badly? Do they keep it close? Do they eke out a surprise win? And I think you can do some of that with Drake Maye in this game too. Who is he closer to, Bryce Young or Josh Allen? Obviously, stylistically, it's Josh Allen. Stylistically, he's a very different quarterback than Bryce Young. But does he go toe-to-toe with the MVP? Or do the Patriots look outmatched quarterback-wise? Now, I will say last year, and some of this is, I'll give credit to the Bills. They adapted to what that game was. Drake Maye kind of outplayed Josh Allen last year in the matchup, the one real matchup between these teams in Buffalo. Obviously, we remember what the other matchup was in Week 18. They both only played one drive. That was the Joe Milton show. Drake Maye in that game last year, 22-36, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, ran 6 times for 30 yards. Josh Allen, 16-29, 154 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, also ran 6 times for 30 yards. Now, the Bills got down 14-0 in that game. Remember, the Patriots went in and were kind of rolling. They had a surprise. It was an onside kick, fake punt. Kayshon Boutte catches the deep touchdown pass from Drake Maye. But the Bills kind of realized that game was going to have to be won on the ground, and we'll get to this. James Cook went off against the Patriots as a runner in that game. But, Drake Maye went in and he held up. Yeah. He held up. That was one of his better games of the year. Now, he's going to need to be better for them to win today, but it was one of his better games of the year.
I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now he goes in. It's his first real primetime game. Mm-hmm. He didn't play, he played very late. The game was over, that Thursday night football game last year against the Jets. I don't worry about this moment being too big for Drake Maye. Mm-hmm. I don't. If anything, I worry about him maybe being a little too amped up like we've seen him be in other games, but it's going to be a tough environment. It's going to be a tough crowd. It's at night. I think he rises to it in the sense that I don't think he's going to look out of place. Does he have the best game of his career tonight? Probably not. But I don't look at it as first primetime game for the young quarterback. How's that going to go? That thought really hasn't crossed my mind this week.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too big for him. I don't think the moment will be now. If he has those, I think it's still a question mark about him. If he has the early turnover, is he able to shake it? Does it bother him? Now all of a sudden, his pass is high. Is he missing open guys? He puts his hands on his helmet like, oh man, I messed up. Is he gonna be able to shake the early mistakes? And I think one thing we've seen from this team in a few of the games is not that he's been able to shake the team mistakes or the team slow starts and then gets going. We saw it last week, but the individual, the fumble, the interception or something like that, is it going to bother him or get to him when the Buffalo fans get all over him? I think that's my biggest concern about him tonight. But I think as far as his performance, I think he's going to have a pretty solid game. And I know we're probably going to get to it in a little bit, but I honestly don't think he is the key to them winning the game, if that makes sense.
So, yes and no. I'm with you. Mm-hmm. So, the Bills' pass defense has been the best in the league this year by a lot of metrics. They've been one of the worst run defenses in the NFL.
Across the board.
They're
bad in everything.
Even after that, I think that's impacted by the Baltimore game to an extent. Mm-hmm. I don't know that they're the worst without that Baltimore game. They haven't been great the last couple of weeks either.
Yeah.
So, the Patriots are going to need to run the ball, traditionally run the ball, not just Drake Maye scrambling left and right. They're going to need to run the ball to win this game. But I in that sense, no, I don't think Drake Maye is the key to them winning the game. You got to get Stevenson going. You got to get Henderson going. But to your point, he can lose them this game.
Yeah, there it is. That's a great way of putting it.
And that's what something I think you're really looking at in this matchup is he taking care of the ball? Is he not turning it over? Something, we heard against the Steelers when they had at the end of the half, they're down on the goal line, they don't score, and was he checking in and out of different plays? And did he maybe check out of a run play he shouldn't have checked out of or whatever? So that element of it, he still has to play. He has to play a clean game for them to win. He doesn't have to play an overwhelmingly impressive game. He doesn't need to throw for 300 yards. He doesn't need to throw for 4 touchdowns. That would help them win if he does. I don't think they need him to do it. What they need him to do is no turnovers, no mental mistakes, not taking bad penalties, making sure the offense is set. False starts isn't entirely on him, but that's always partially on the quarterback. Things like that. They're going to be on the quiet count tonight, keeping everybody on the same page. That's the big thing I think you're looking for from Drake Maye tonight is can he play, not limit the mistakes, because I don't think they have the margin of error for limited mistakes tonight. Can he play mistake-free football?
Yeah, and which you mentioned with the crowd noise and the count and all that stuff, I think that's going to be his real test, his first real test. Hostile environment. Are we going to see the delay of games? Are we going to see the false starts? I mean, not getting to play in time, having to burn timeouts early, things like that. Are we going to see those things from Drake? Because the fans are going to be into it. Now, on the flip side, if you're Vrabel in that locker room, are you telling that defense, hey, we got to keep these guys quiet. We're going to need you guys to step up so the crowd, we can't get down 14-0 or let them get 2 quick drives on us. And the fans are going crazy because it's going to affect our offense. And I think this is Maye's first real test. And you said something earlier about the games and it being night game. I'm thinking about wait a minute, I don't think I've seen him at night in the Patriots jersey yet. But it's weird. But I wonder, can he handle the hostile environment? That's my only real concern. Can he pick apart the individual players with this defense? I think he has a chance to. I mean, I don't know how good this secondary really is because they had Spencer Rattler and Justin Fields and Tua. I mean, that's really in the game against the Ravens. We saw what that score was. So I don't know how good this secondary is, but I know they struggle against the run, and I know that's a way to keep the crowd quiet, run the ball, have them sitting there kind of bored, and not say take those situations out of Drake Maye's hands, but just don't put him in bad situations to where it's 3rd and 12. The crowd is into it. Play clock's running down. I think that'll be a bad spot to put him in this type of moment. But I think if you keep the score close and you keep things kind of relatively low, I think he has a chance to really shine tonight.
You mentioned the penalties. I will add this, and we talked about this last week, right? Bill Vinovich was calling among the most penalties in the NFL, and that ended up being the case for both teams.
You nailed that one.
Thank you. And I have something up on this on 985thesportshub.com if people want to check it out. So, looms large again. Sean Hockley tonight, 18.8 flags per game, 5th most in football by that crew. So it's not to excuse it. It's just saying it's going to be a little more eagle-eyed crew. You're not going to get away with a lot tonight. You talked about the penalties. The Patriots' penalties this year. They are hang on, I have it right here. They are the 11th most flagged team in NFL. So they have the 3rd most accepted penalties against. But they are the 11th most flagged. So that includes declined penalties, which I think is a more accurate number. Just because the penalties declined doesn't mean you didn't commit it.
Yeah.
Of the Patriots, 39 flags against. 9 are offensive holding, or 10 are offensive holding. 1 was declined. 7 are false starts. And then nothing else has more than 3. But I think that 7 number is notable because they've played 3 of their first 4 games at home. So the false starts and Miami's Miami. Would it be fair, Cerrone, to say this is the first true road test for the Patriots, knowing what the makeup of the crowd usually is in Miami? First true road test for Will Campbell in the NFL. We've seen Morgan Moses struggle a little bit with false starts. The false starts are absolutely something that looms and I think is important. Let's grab a couple calls here before we hit the break. Let's go to Randy in Providence. Randy, what do you got for us this morning?
Good morning. How you doing this week, Alex?
Good.
Good. Me too. Look, I'm excited for the game today. I think, the Bills are a tough team, but I think this week is the week that if we're going to get them, this might be the week to do it. Because they've got a couple guys missing, right? They've got Ed Oliver and Matt Milano, I don't know if they're going to play today. They're
so
questionable.
they
Do you
both
know?
returned to practice this week. They were both back at practice. The Bills did elevate 2 defensive tackles from the practice squad, so maybe not the best sign for Ed Oliver, but usually when players like that return to practice, they're lined up to play, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, and we had Gonzalez come back to practice for a week before he really came back, right?
That is true, yeah.
So who knows? Those guys are key, though. And I mean, across the secondary, Maxwell Hairston hasn't played yet this year. Dorian Strong also out.
Yep.
And, I mean, their quarterbacks weren't great to begin with. They're relying a lot more than they wanted to on Tre'Davious White. And then you've got the 2 guys that are suspended that aren't coming back until week 7. So it's kind of, if you're going to get this Bills defense, this is the time to do it. I think we got a reason to hope, too, because we saw just a couple weeks ago, Miami was tied in the 4th quarter with the Bills. So I don't think there's any reason that we can't at least make this a game, maybe even potentially take it.
Thanks for the call, Randy. It's fair to expect this to be, it's 4th quarter starts tonight and it's still a football game. And you're not tuning it out, or I should not be starting to write my reactions column in the 4th quarter night. I did that last week. It was great. I hadn't gotten to do that in a while. Did it last week. It was awesome. I don't want to do it tonight. I guess if the Patriots are up big, but again, that's not going to happen. This should be this game. I don't want to say down to the wire. My prediction is kind of Bills win by 2 scores, but there's like a late, they get a late touchdown, late field, whatever, put it away. This is a game that's going to keep you up till the end tonight.
Yeah, and just real quick, I know you're about to take a quick break here.
Yeah.
Do you think a shootout favors the Patriots more than the Bills?
No, I did not with Josh Allen at quarterback, and that's coming from me. Not with Josh Allen at quarterback. And not with that run game either, frankly, because the Patriots have not been able to run the ball well this year, and if they have to get single-dimensional on offense, it really aids the Bills' defense that could use some help. So, no, I don't think it does. Let's grab one more call real quick. Josh in Turner Falls. Josh.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey.
So my question, I got a couple quick questions. With Jelani Tavai returning, do you potentially see a 5-man front with him playing an end with Chase on out, especially against Cook, keep the bodies up front, maybe try to keep them contained? And then my other question quick is, I don't know if you guys have dove into the fact that the Pats made that minority sale, opening up a lot of cash. Do you think that potentially that opens up the option for maybe adding, if this team can get going this year, maybe a Trey Hendrickson out of Cincy or another defensive end that might help this defense? Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the call, Josh. In terms of the second one first, real quick, if they're going to make a big move, I don't know that the sale doesn't, you wouldn't sell that stake in the team just to make a trade deadline deal. That's a bigger picture thing. Mm-hmm. If we want to talk what it means for free agency in the offseason, I think that's probably more of a conversation, and it can't hurt. But I don't think that it's like, all right, we have all this money, let's go out and get a deadline deal done. I don't think it's that kind of immediate thing. To his first question, Tavai, it's a good question. I'm really curious as to what Jelani Tavai's role is going to be tonight, because you could absolutely put him on that strong side edge. That's something that he's done in the past, and I think he's done relatively well. They also need another off-ball linebacker. Like Christian Ellis has been benched the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
I think Jack Gibbons has been good in that role. I'd give Gibbons another look. I'd frankly start him tonight. But Tavai's a sure tackler, which in this game, like to the caller's point, against James Cook, a big, strong linebacker like Tavai is a good guy to have on the field. He's maybe not somebody that looms large in every matchup. I don't know. Now, look, the Panthers stunk last week, but like in theory against the Panthers team, I don't know that he has as big of a role. It's a good game to get Tavai back. So we'll see ultimately what he does, how much he plays, right? Is he fully back? Is this an easing him in thing? We will see. But it's going to be interesting to see how they use him tonight and what they do with that linebacker position as a whole.
Yeah, I think the linebackers are going to be key tonight. Like you mentioned, of course, they're number one in running the football. Again, yards per carry, all the touchdowns. They're number one in everything when it comes to running the football. But I think you have to be also aware of their tight ends that are very good. And they can play a huge role today. So finding guys that can cover those tight ends and what looks like obvious running situations, I think is going to be key in being able to stop the run. So I think the linebackers are going to be the key to that Patriots defense tonight if they win or lose this game.
Let's get more on this with Christopher Price. He covers the Patriots for the Boston Globe. We will talk to him next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub. Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your station for the best football coverage. 98.5 The Sports
Hub. Back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle. We're now joined by Christopher Price. He covers the Patriots for the Boston Globe. Chris, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. How you doing?
Doing good, especially because I don't have to run right to Gillette after the show. I get some time in between because the Patriots are back in prime time, a real prime time game, not the league-mandated Thursday night game, a real prime time game for the Patriots tonight. Big picture, being back in prime time on this stage against the Bills, the team that have owned this division since Tom Brady left. What does this game represent for the Patriots on the national stage?
I think we'll know exactly who they are after Sunday night. I think that we're still not completely sure where they rest in the NFL hierarchy, at least at this stage of the season after 4 games. We know that they're not a cellar dweller. Look, we know that they're not going to get a top 5 pick, for instance. But I think if they win tonight, or even if they're competitive, if they can push the Bills through 3+ quarters, then maybe we start to kind of readjust our expectations around this team, because if they can do that, then maybe they're a 8, 9, dare I say it, 10-win team, especially when you consider the road ahead. If not, maybe, we kind of say, well, they are who we thought they were. So I think this is going to be a really great opportunity for them to really distinguish themselves and really kind of start to lay out a true level of expectation for what to expect from this team moving forward tonight.
For that to happen tonight, where do you see them being able to attack this Bills team? Where are the Bills weak, and where can this Patriots team really take advantage of them on both sides of the ball?
Run the ball. Keep the game manageable. And look, a lot goes into that, first of all. You need to keep this thing manageable. You can't turn the ball over. You can't get in a 14-0 hole early. You need to figure out a way to keep this a game. You need to figure out a way to keep Josh Allen off the field. You need to figure out a way to keep Cook off the field, Shakir, all of those offensive options. And the best way to do that is to run the ball and put together some long, sustained drives. Buffalo is one of the worst teams in the league against the run. Now, look, a lot of those numbers need to be put in context because they're winning in the second half, and they're more than willing to trade rushing yards for clock. So, you figure that into the equation, but they are soft against the run when you compare them to pretty much every other, aspect of what they do. So if you can shrink the game down, if you can keep the game in the 20s, look, you're not going to win if this thing gets up into the 30s. You want to keep this thing relatively modest. I'm telling all my friends I know, take the under here because, if you're a Patriots fan, because that's the best formula for success when it comes to this game. You're going to want to shrink the game down. You're going to want to run the ball against a relatively soft run defense. And so you want to do what you can do to keep that offense off the field for as long as possible.
In order to do that, and you mentioned the importance of ball security, obviously Ramondre Stevenson was better last week, but that thing still looms. Most fumbles in the NFL since the start of last year. They also haven't gotten Travion Henderson going. Their run game as a whole, frankly, has struggled. So you kind of have a stoppable force against a movable object, so to speak, with the Patriots' run game against the Bills' run defense. Is this a game where you lean heavily on Stevenson? Would this be a good game to try to jumpstart Travion Henderson? Does Antonio Gibson factor in? How do you see the workload being distributed among the running backs?
I would love to see more touches for Travion Henderson. I think that he is, we saw it over the course of the summer. And look, granted, it's the summer. It's, joint practices and preseason games and, guys who are playing in the CFL at this point. So you take it all with a grain of salt. But I would love to be able to see him get more touches tonight. He's kind of an unknown quantity, at least at this stage of his career. I think he could throw a bit of a curveball at the Bills. I also, too, when I say kind of, run the ball, you can kind of run the ball with these short passes, these quick passes, this just kind of getting the ball out as fast as possible. So I guess ultimately to answer your question, Alex, I would love to see them unlock Travion Henderson tonight, but this is going to take a total team effort when you look at the running backs room. So you're going to need all hands on deck. I think that, there's still a sense of trepidation when Ramondre has the ball. And I think that's probably, it's unfair to him, but kind of it is what it is at this stage of his career. So you get him the ball, you get Gibson the ball, you get Henderson the ball, you rotate guys through, and that's really, for me, the best way to kind of control this game.
On the other side of the ball, do you see the Bills being able to actually, they say got to have a situation 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, whatever. Do you see the Bills being able to attack the Patriots secondary with Gonzalez being back? Do you think the Bills have the receivers and the skill on the outside to attack the Patriots, or is that a strength that you would give to the Patriots when it comes to that matchup?
I think it's a winnable matchup for New England if Gonzalez is completely healthy. I'm still a little bit cautious about how they're going to handle the tight ends. I know, Alex, I heard you on with Toucher and Hardy earlier this week talking about the possibility of, using Gonzalez against one of the tight ends. And I think there's a very real chance of that happening tonight. So a lot depends on how the Patriots decide to deploy their defensive backs. And I think if Gonzalez is on one of the tight ends, that frees up Marcus Jones, that frees up Carlton Davis. But put it this way, I like their chances a lot more now that Gonzalez is back in the lineup, as opposed to the fact that he was questionable coming into last week's game. I think last week's game was an excellent ramp-up opportunity for him. So I think that there are gains to be made there. If you're New England, it's a potentially winnable matchup, but I think in a lot of ways that's going to determine this game. If the Patriots can figure out a way to slow down Josh Allen, and I'm not just talking about through the passing game, It's about keeping him contained, not over-rushing the passer. I know we're not going to see Chase on today, so a lot of it is going to rest on Anthony Jennings, Keon White, to be able to hold that edge, Harold Landry, to be able to hold that edge, to be able to force him back inside, where theoretically Milton Williams and Christian Barmore would be there waiting for him.
Talking to Christopher Price, the Boston Globe, you mentioned Milton Williams has been unbelievable through the first 4 games. I was on yesterday with Matt McCarthy. I said, think about how good you have to be in this media landscape to sign a $100 million contract, biggest in the history of the franchise, and live up to it through 4 weeks, which he's done. Missed a day of practice this week, was limited the other days with an ankle injury. Ian Rappaport is reporting he is going to play. How much of an impact does it make on the Patriots defense if he's not 100%, and how good do they need him to be able to pull off an upset and win this game?
He's their second most important defensive player behind Christian Gonzalez. He is. And I think a healthy Milton Williams is going to go a long way toward winning this game. Even Milton Williams at 75%, because as you said, look, this is a guy who's clearly lived up to the $100 million contract, at least, 4 games into his NFL, or 4 games into his New England career. He is vital to what they want to get done defensively. And while they do have some decent options there in the middle, including, and it's not a 1-for-1 swap, but I'm just talking big bodies here in Tonga. He just takes them to another level. He just, it's like in the secondary when they didn't have Gonzalez, they had Davis and they had Marcus Jones and Alex Austin. All of those guys are decent guys. They're all competitive, and they all give you a chance to win. They're not Christian Gonzalez. All those guys up front, they're all decent guys. They're all competitive guys. They're not Milton Williams. And so you take Milton Williams out of the equation, the chances of losing this game become, I don't want to say significantly greater, but it removes a very important piece of what the Patriots want to get done defensively.
And last one for me, speaking of free agency, flip it to the other side. Stefon Diggs, he wants to show out today. Could you see a situation to where he kind of wants it too much? How do you keep Drake Maye from forcing the ball to Stefon Diggs so he has his big moments? Or do you think he'll say, you know what, we got to play this team game, we got to run the ball, whatever? Could you see them caught in a situation to where they're trying to force it to him in certain situations, or will he be able to play a kind of a laid-back game and keep with the game plan?
I don't think that he'll be able to – look, if any of us was in this position, we'd be jacked up, talking to Diggs over the course of the week that, it's only natural he's going to be emotional going into this game because so much happened here and because of the way he left. And so I think that's one of the most, if not the most compelling storyline coming into this game. Look, the Patriots have been, when the offense has been at its best, they've spread the ball around. They've had 4 different guys lead the team in receiving over the course of the first 4 games. I talked to Derek Bradbury about this week, but this team and this offense kind of gets it, and I think Diggs is part of that as well. I think he understands where he is, and I think he understands where Drake is in his overall development. If this had happened like in November and December, I think it might have been a different story, but I think right now, and look, Diggs is saying all the right things at this point in his career, so we kind of have to take him at face value. I think he's going to be okay going into this thing, but it's going to be awfully fun to watch him and see how all that plays out over the course of the evening.
He is Christopher Price, covers the Patriots for the Boston Globe. Find him on social media at @CPriceGlobe. Chris, thanks for joining us this morning, and enjoy the game tonight. My
pleasure, guys. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Have a good one. Good stuff there from Chris. The Diggs, I am excited to see Diggs in the. Now that I'm glad that his role's expanded in time for this game.
Yeah,
like he kind of mentioned, he liked that Gonzalez had the game he did against Carolina. It makes him feel better going into this instead of this being the first game out. I kind of feel Diggs obviously played, but that he had that first big game before this one to get over that hump. So that'll be something to watch tonight. I do want to get into Cerrone. We do have to do our usual college football minute because wild day yesterday. I promise we're not just going to do the Bill Belichick thing. Wild day yesterday in college football. We'll get to all of that coming up next. Plus, we go around the league at 9 o'clock here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub. Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
First down and 10. Looking for the double pass, taking a shot, has a man open at the 40. More, giving you more. Welcome, Chapel Hill. Meet the Tigers.
First play of the game, Clemson scores yesterday against Bill Belichick and UNC, the highly anticipated Dabo Swinney-Bill Belichick matchup. Score not really reflective of what happened. It was, I think, 35-3, right?
In the second quarter.
At the end, at halftime, and ends up being 38-10. Clemson kind of laid off, although they did sort of run it up. They were calling timeouts at the end of the first half to get a 2-minute drive in there. Bill Belichick falls to 2-3, 0-3 against Power 4 schools. Cerrone, what's the vibe down there in North Carolina after this start for Bill Belichick?
Oh, man, they're done with him. They're done. I mean, losing to Clemson like that is not the shocker. The shocker was losing to UCF like that, losing to TCU the way they did. I think in their 3 games against the Power 4, they've lost them all by at least 25 points. And I don't think that was expected coming in. You knew they were going to have tough games on the schedule. Everybody circled Clemson as the one game they were going to lose. We think Clemson was going to be that bad, but to get smoked by everybody and then really if Clemson would have kept going, they probably could have scored 80 points the way things were going early in that game. And I think people are done with them. I mean, they had the big thing with Ludacris and all that stuff yesterday morning, but outside of just being happy to hang out in Chapel Hill on a Saturday, I think people are done with them. And there's a thing came out from Lombardi talking about the 40 recruits and bringing in a bunch of freshmen and all that stuff. And people want them to get the transfer portal. They want the recruits, the transfers, the veteran guys to come in to turn the team around. I don't think anybody has the patience to wait for him to build a team from the ground up. And people are losing patience with him real quickly.
Meanwhile, a couple of big upsets here. Say Penn State loses to unranked, previously winless UCLA. You had Texas lose to Florida, which that one didn't surprise me as much. I think Texas has been overrated for a while. I think Archer's been overrated for a while. But who's your favorite right now, or favorites? Like, to me, there's 2 teams that are ahead of the pack. It's Ohio State is really good again, and I think Oregon is really good. I think Dante Moore should probably be the Heisman favorite. Mm-hmm. I believe it's technically who did I see it was yesterday? I can't remember what I saw it was yesterday, but I think Dante Moore is the favorite. Oh, Carson Beck. It should be Dante Moore, but after them, I mean, Texas Tech's nice. Oklahoma's nice, but they didn't play too many tough games. They beat Michigan, which is not nothing, but this feels as wide open as it's felt in a while.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State, I think they allowed more than 10 points in a game?
No, they're not.
Something ridiculous.
They haven't really played anybody outside of
they
Texas,
haven't played anybody.
Turns out might not be good.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go to Ohio State and Oregon. I think that after that, I think it's a huge drop off, and you don't really trust anybody else. And the SEC right now is all over the place. I'm not sure who's the best in that one. The Vanderbilt Alabama game was good. It was close,
it was a fun game.
But it's a really fun game, and it's good to see Vanderbilt as a competitive team. But I don't know who's who. I mean, Texas losing, even though I think, Archer Manning has been overrated. I still thought they would beat a bad Florida team, and they couldn't get down the field against Florida in the second half. So I don't know who outside of Oregon and Ohio State. I don't know who else we could trust. And to me, it makes for a great playoff, though. I don't know who's going to do what. The home field advantage, I think, is going to be key once you get to the playoff, like it was last year. Southern teams playing in the cold with stuff like that, but I don't know who else we can trust. And I think with this transfer portal and NIL and all this stuff, it's made for some serious balance in college football right now, because I don't know who's who and what's what at this point.
Oddly enough, the teams that's looked the best in the SEC, I mean, Texas A&M's up there, but I'm not going to believe, like, they always, it falls apart at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
is it them? Is it Georgia? Their one loss is to Alabama, but it is at home. But Alabama lost to a bad Florida State team. Really funny. All right, had to get a quick college football minute in. Let's grab some calls real quick before we hit the break. Pete in Plainsville on the Patriots. Pete.
Hey, guys, great show. I wanted to kind of touch on what Cerrone said earlier and about the defense, but tonight's really like Vrabel, when he first came in, was talking about, program, setting up a program, and I think tonight's kind of a tone setter for the Patriots moving forward. If they can go in there, I think they're going to have to bully the Bills a little bit, especially if Milano and Oliver aren't playing. I know you said earlier they practice, but if one of them don't play, that should be an advantage. And the defense really needs to set the tone. I think they've been vastly overrated of what they've done. I think for the most part, they've been pretty lousy. They weren't even really they weren't great last week. I was at the game, and guys were open. Bryce Young's just too small. So, this is a night where Vrabel, talks the talk about being tough, being mean. Let's see it. Go out there, bully the Bills, and let Drake Maye, manage the game like he's done. When he's managing the game, he's elite. When he's going to drop back 40 times, they don't have the personnel, the pass protecting, that stuff yet. So I want to see Stevenson, Gibson, and Henderson get the ball a bunch, and let's pound the ball and see what happens. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely a program game tonight, Pete. Absolutely. Yeah. Vrabel talked about the goals to win divisions and host home playoff games. You got to go through Buffalo to do that. Mm-hmm. Absolute, total program game. You're correct, and they are going to need to run the football to win it. Andy and Sudbury, what do you got for us?
Hey, morning, Alex. How are you guys today?
Good.
I just want to call in a little bit about Steph Diggs, man. I mean, hey, I loved him in that game that last week he had. I believe it was like a 33-yard big route from Drake Maye that was like the best play of the game. He had his first 100-yard game since 2023. And I'm really going to be looking for him to ball against Buffalo tonight. I mean, like Chris said, they've been spreading the ball around, which I love, 4 different leading receivers over 4 games. But, I would like to see a revenge game against Steph Diggs. I mean, he made Allen who he is. And I want to see him make Maye who he is as a young quarterback. Thanks, guys.
Good points. The Josh McDaniels offense is predicated on spreading the ball, and you're not going to go out of your way to funnel it to somebody. That being said, I'm putting some stuff in the game plan for Stefon Diggs tonight. I'm giving him a chance to show up in a big way.
And you know what I'm looking for him at is if they get in the red zone. I want to see him get in the end zone. Short stuff when it's really crowded, when it's tougher to get open. I think he's the one veteran guy and the guy with the ability to make a play in the red zone. I think he'll have a chance. And the other forgotten guy about Buffalo was the other receiver. I can't think of his name right now. I'm sorry. Who's found the end zone quite a few times for the Patriots. Is the next Bill from last year. But
Mac Hollins.
Mac Hollins. There you go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about Bills receiver.
Yeah, a former Bills receiver. Yeah. Mac Hollins as well, who's been decent in the red zone for this team. He has the size to be a good red zone threat for this Patriots team. But I think him and Diggs, will have an advantage and an opportunity in the red zone if they can just get down there today on a consistent basis.
Junior in the car, real quick. Last one here. What do you got?
Oh, hi. I think college football is a joke. I mean, whatever team it was, Florida hadn't played the team yesterday since World War II. Oklahoma hadn't played Michigan in like 30 years. And by the way, Steph Diggs is going to get shut down. You don't think those young guys at Buffalo want to shut him down and prove something because he was a diva?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There's a difference between wanting to do it and being able to.
Right, yeah. No, that's yeah. There's a lot of things I want to do that I don't know that I have the ability to. I'm sure they want to do it. You're not wrong. You don't think Steph Diggs wants to go into Buffalo and make them regret trading him?
Right.
As the college football thing, I've heard a lot of arguments on this station, especially from Matt McCarthy, about why college football is a bad product. I've never heard the argument that simply the teams don't play each other a lot. There's 130-something teams. They play in different conferences. Here's the thing that people up here don't understand about college football, that when you look at it through this lens, it becomes much more entertaining. You cannot look at They look at the FBS like it's a league, like it's the NFL. And that's not really what it is. The SEC is a league. The Big Ten is a league. The Big 12 is a league. What the college football playoff is almost like in international soccer when you have a team from and I don't know soccer, so I'm guessing here, La Liga play a team from the Premier League. Yep. And there are some tournaments that go in between those leagues, but it's not... That's not it's not FBS as the overall body. It's multiple bodies competing in a
Right.
parallel, and then they meet for the championship at the end of the year.
It's almost like having the Super Bowl winner from the Canadian League and one from the Arena League and one from the USFL, whatever the thing's
called. A little more even, but
but the same. And they all play against each other. But people, real quick, people complained about college football when it was too one-sided. Oh, there's these big blowouts. And then all of a sudden now everything is close and competitive. Oh, this is sloppy football, and every game goes to overtime. It's like, which way do you want it? It's very entertaining, though.
That's a new one to me. Oh, they don't play each other enough. I've never heard that complaint before. All right, let's get to headlines, including some of those college football scores. We'll come back. We'll go around the league here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
From the Telfair Tire Studios, WBZ-FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Patriots take on the Bills tonight in prime time to wrap up the Sunday of Week 5. We'll have coverage of that game right here on 98.5, the Sports Hub, and the Patriots Radio Network with pregame beginning at 5:30. Defensive tackle Milton Williams, who missed one day of practice this week and was limited to 2 others, is expected to play, according to ESPN's Ian Rappaport. Meanwhile, the Patriots have ruled out pass rusher K'Lavon Chaisson. Elsewhere in the NFL today, make sure you get those fantasy lineups set. Game kicking off here in less than half an hour in London between the Vikings and the Browns in the 1 o'clock window. A battle of surprise 1-3 teams between the Texans and the Ravens. Big matchup in the 4 o'clock window with the quarterbacks between the Commanders and Chargers. The Monday night game this week is the Chiefs and the Jaguars. A couple of major upsets in college football yesterday. Unranked UCLA beat number 7 Penn State 42-37. And unranked Florida beat number 9 Texas 29-21. In the ranked matchups, number 3 Miami took down number 18 Florida State 28-22. And number 10 Alabama beat number 16 Vanderbilt 30-14. In the MLB playoffs yesterday, first game of the divisional series, the Brewers, Blue Jays, Dodgers, and Tigers all winning. The American League DS series continue later today with the Blue Jays and Yankees and Tigers and Mariners. The NL is back in action tomorrow. The Bruins beat the Washington Capitals 4-1 in their preseason finale yesterday, and the New England Revolution lost 4-1 to Inter Miami last night. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Eastern Mass's leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 10 o'clock.
To us, Boston pride runs deep.
I'm a Bostonian!
This is Boston's Home for Sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Pick a target.
You pick it.
Take your pick.
Pick me! Pick me!
I did not pick. There was no pick.
Pick him up. You pick him up.
Pick.
I pick.
Pick me, pick me, pick me.
Pick the teams.
Pick one, jerk.
All right, we're already behind, so let's get to it. Week 5 of the NFL season. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. We've got, I keep almost saying Ryan Beaton, because he used to produce this show. We got Ryan Garvin behind the glass. Make sure I get that right. As we go through Week 5 of the NFL schedule, we'll start with Thursday night, the Niners and the Rams. How about Mac Jones? 3-0 as a starter. Leads the late-game field goal drive. Niners defense gets a stop on a 4th and 1. San Francisco wins 26-23. Kendrick Bourne, too. Well over 100 yards receiving. 2022 me feels so vindicated. Look, I'm glad Drake May's here, and I think he's ultimately a better quarterback, but I always knew there was something with Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne. You saw it against a top 10 defense, by the way, going into that game on Thursday night.
Good for Mac Jones, good for Kendrick Bourne, and they both landed on their feet here. Mac Jones literally almost threw up on himself late in that game, but he kept it together.
He got the crap beat out of it. That shot where he gets up, like his pants are falling down.
Yeah, he was all beat down. But I love the support they showed for him after the game, the way his defense was coming and supporting him. Good for Mac Jones and good for the Niners. And like we said, what would have Mac Jones looked like if he was drafted instead of Trey Lance into that situation in San Fran?
What would that mean for Kyle Shanahan? I cannot wait. All the Shanahan fanboys, oh, he's good. Cannot wait to drop. Yeah, all it took was Mac Jones on them, because that take's coming. Get ready for that. All right, let's get to today. Again, I'll throw out, because I had people text me last week that they needed the reminder, so I'm happy to put it out there again. If you haven't set your fantasy lineup yet, you have 23 minutes before we get underway in London between the Vikings and the Browns.
And they won 2 world wars. 2 world wars by doing jumping jacks, push-ups, and sit-ups. 2 world wars.
And Michigan and Oklahoma hadn't played since that Second World War, right? The Browns, 3.5-point underdogs. Total for this one, 36 points, far and away the lowest of the week.
Yeah, give me Minnesota in this one. Their defense is just too good for the Browns right now. Browns going through a QB change, and I think the Vikings defense is enough to hold off the Browns in this one.
That's right. First career start for Dylan Gabriel in this one. Minnesota's been over there, too. They played there last week, which I think helps. Give me the Vikings to win and cover. Surprise matchup of 1-3 teams, the Texans and Ravens.
J.J. Wow. Little J.J. Wow. That's what we used to call him.
This is, I mean, whoever loses this game.
That's it.
It's catastrophic. Is that a fair word to use?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think the Texans get it because they... And not red chance, but they got the better QB today.
Yep.
And I think the Texans get that one. The Ravens defense is shot right now. So give me the Texans.
No Lamar Jackson in this one. I'll take the Texans to -2.5. Another matchup of 1-3 teams. This one a little more expected. The Dolphins and the Panthers.
Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is a man.
The Dolphins, 1.5-point favorites going into Carolina.
You know, I want to pick the Dolphins so bad, but this is the type of game the Panthers will go out and win by 30 again. I want to pick the Dolphins in this one, but you know what? Give me Carolina at home. I just think they're just a Jekyll and Hyde team. I think they have a couple playmakers there on the outside. Ted he's everything and we thought he was going to be, but I think the Panthers win this game. Give me Carolina at home.
I'm going to take the Dolphins. I think Mike McDaniel survives another week somehow, some way. Let's go to the 1-3 Raiders at the 3-1 Colts.
What was the plan?
I don't know. I mean, completely nuts.
The McAfee fake punt right there. Colts, 7.5-point favorites at home against the Raiders.
Yeah, give me the Colts in this one. I think they're a pretty good team. I don't know if the Raiders got injury. I think Brock Bowers is out again, so give me the Colts.
Brock Bowers out. That could be the difference. I was kind of tempted to pick the Raiders in this one. I thought that Ash and Genty started to figure it out last week.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a chance they figure it out. I think the Raiders cover, but give me the Colts to win. Similar game to last week. The 1-3 Giants at 0-4 Saints.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively.
Brock Bowers is out today, by the way. So yeah, give me the Colts in that one. Giants at Saints. The Saints, 2.5-point favorites, despite Jackson Dart leading the Giants to the win last week. And did you see the way the Giants beat writers were writing about it?
Hey, he's the man there now. I mean, it's him and Scatterbo. They can't do no wrong. But I think the key out of that game was not them winning over Jackson Dart. It was losing Malik Neighbors. Yeah. I think that drops them down to the same level as the Saints. So give me the home team in this situation. And give me the Saints with nothing to lose, really, in this matchup.
I'm taking the Saints in an ugly, ugly, ugly football game. I'm taking the Giants in an ugly football game. I still think they can get it done. I think that Saints team is putrid. But, 0-5, Patriots going to face an 0-5 Saints team next week, potentially. But I'll take it's Saints next week, right? Saints, Titans, then Browns?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll take the Giants in that one. We got to do this with the ties. 1-2-1 Cowboys. That's going to be fun all year. Against the 0-4 Jets.
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
I hate the ties so much. The Cowboys favored to win 2.5 going up to New York.
I think the Cowboys are going to blow them out. I think Dak Prescott has been amazing so far this season. And their ability to get down the field is unbelievable, even with the injuries. Give me the Cowboys in this one.
I'll take the Cowboys as well. Sneaky, this could be a good one. 2-2 Broncos at 4-0 Eagles.
This past offseason, some clown named Mike Lombardi told him that he was the least qualified head coach in the NFL.
The Broncos were supposed to be everybody's sleeper team. They've struggled out of the gate. They want to get back on track. A competitive game against the Eagles would be a way to do it. Birds favored by 3.5.
Yeah, Knicks threw it well last week, but that was against the Bengals defense, and they kept getting the ball back, but that's not going to happen against this Eagles team. Eagles right now are just too good. They're too balanced. Give me the Eagles at home.
Birds all the way. That wraps up the 1 o'clock window. Let's go to 4 o'clock where the 0-4 Titans take on the 2-2 Cardinals.
Every single week, I put my freaking heart and soul into this. I don't go out there and laugh. It's not funny.
Who is that, Ryan?
Oh, that's I think it's Derek Anderson on Monday Night Football postgame. He got caught laughing on the sideline and did not appreciate the questioning after the fact because nothing's funny to Derek Anderson.
Love it. Cardinals 7.5-point favorites in this one.
Yeah, give me the Cardinals. I think the Titans are the worst team in the NFL. I think they're worse than the Saints and Panthers. They're in bad shape right now. Give me the Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't think that Cardinals team's that good either. I think the Cardinals win. 7.5 is too big of a number for this game, though. I think it's a one-score game. Give me the Titans to cover. Cardinals to win at home, but Titans to cover. This one, 3-1 Bucks, 3-1 Seahawks.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though.
So the Seahawks are wearing their throwbacks, like the silver helmet. It's one of the best uniforms in football. The Buccaneers had separately announced for a different game they were going to debut this year the all-white creamsicle throwbacks, which is another elite uniform.
Yep.
And so many people on Twitter pointed, and when the Seahawks announced their uniforms, they said they were going to wear it for this game. So many people on Twitter pointed out that the Bucs should also wear their road throwbacks since they had road throwbacks. They got bullied into doing it, and this is going to be the best uniform game of the year. More teams should have road throwbacks, by the way. I will plant my flag on that hill. As for the football, Seahawks favored by 3.5. Mike Evans is out. Give me the Seahawks. We're all winners for getting to watch this game, though.
Give me the Seahawks here at home, too. You got a team coming from Florida all the way over to Seattle. I think it'll be close. Another Baker Mayfield trying to win it at the end, but I think the Seahawks win this game.
We've got the 3-1 Lions at the 2-2 Bengals.
Here comes Jared Allen, and he's out of bounds. Poor guy. I don't even know if he realized it.
This should have been like one of the best games of the year coming into the season, but the Lions, I mean, they're 3-1 now, but they started out a little flat. The Bengals, obviously, who knows where they're going. Biggest spread of the week. Lions, 10.5-point favorites on the road. And it's also the highest total of the week, 49.5 points.
Yeah, give me the Lions in a complete blowout. That Bengals team, watching that offense last week was bad. Give me the Lions in this one.
I'll take the Lions as well. So the Vegas numbers basically add up to like a 30-20 game. I think we might get more than that. Give me the Lions.
I don't think the Bengals get to 20.
Let's go to the 3-1 Chargers hosting the 2-2 Commanders.
Like Moses, I'm gonna die leaning on my staff.
Jaden Daniels is going to play, I believe was the latest reporting. He's wearing a knee brace. He was wearing a knee brace this week in practice, but they might have him back. So Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert, Chargers, 3.5-point favorites at home.
Give me the Chargers. I think they're good. I don't know what happened last week against the Giants, but I think the Chargers are a good team, and I don't think Washington can go in there and beat this team, especially banged up. Give me the Chargers at home.
I think I would pick a healthy Washington team. Jaden Daniels, he is going to start, but if his mobility is limited, it's such a big blow to his game. I'll take the Chargers in this one. Another one. Shame we're not getting the fully healthy quarterback matchup tonight. Obviously, Patriots-Bills. We'll get back into that. Bills favored by 7.5. Monday night, the Jaguars with a better record than the Chiefs a month in. 3-1 Jags hosting the 2-2
they go that
Chiefs.
horse. I don't mess with horses, bro. Might come over here and throw a tantrum.
It's the Taylor Swift album release, like hype up Travis Kelce or anything. Chiefs favored by 3.5.
You know what? The Chiefs are favorite, but I think the Chiefs got a lot of points because of their speed. Guys is burning downfield in the secondary. I think for the first time this season, they face a secondary that has guys just as fast as their receivers. And with that being said, I think the Jags win a close one. I think they win a close one at home.
Am I a prisoner of the moment for saying this is a legacy game for Trevor Lawrence?
Nah, I mean, it's very important. Yeah, he has to win a game like
prime time. There's been a lot of questions about him. He misses the second half of last year. Yeah, they're 3-1, but he hasn't been awesome to start the season, right? It's the defense. So now you go in up against Mahomes in prime time, kind of like Drake Maye against Josh Allen. But Lawrence has been in the league now. It's his 5th year. I don't know. I feel like this is a big spot for Trevor Lawrence. I think we get a good game. You know what? I'll say Chiefs win by a field goal. Give me the Jags to cover the 3.5, but the Chiefs to win. I'll put it right on the margin there. And we do have buys this week. First bye weeks of the year. Atlanta, so the Falcons, the Bears, the Packers, and the Steelers for your fantasy football purposes. But only 13 minutes to get those lineups in. Because, again, they're starting in London at 9:30, the Vikings and the Browns. And that is week 5 in the NFL. We'll get back to Patriots-Bills next here on the Sports Hub Sunday.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
I think that it's just good coordinated, relentless, coordinated rush. You know, even when guys are free, he makes a miss. He spins, or he'll extend, out past the numbers to the red line and continue to make plays down the field. Or heaven forbid, he scrambles up the middle and makes a move on a guy like he's done in the past in the last couple of weeks, or breaks the stiff arm out. So again, it's a huge challenge. Anytime that he's carrying the football, and then obviously the accuracy and kind of the timing that he's had throwing the football will be something that we'll have to work on.
Patriots are going to have to stop Josh Allen and this Bills run game today. That was Mike Vrabel kind of summing it up. It's Alex Barth Cerrone Battle here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. And I think it's an important point that I mentioned last year's game earlier. Josh Allen only threw for 161 yards in that game. Not because the Patriots limited him. The Bills just got down early and adjusted and kind of said, okay, we can run the football. And this is what's different about the Bills now than they were even 2 years ago, they will nickel and dime it, whether that be in the short pass game, whether that be in the run game. They will play with patience. And what you've gotten is a team that is tremendous at creating with the ball in their hands. Dalvin Cook, among the league leaders in broken tackles, averaging 3.5, just over 3.5 yards after contact per carry. That's a high number. It's top 5 in the league. Meanwhile, the receivers, they're one of the best yards after catch teams in the league. Khalil Shakir is second only to Jacoby Myers in broken tackles off of a reception. So, not to be overly simplistic about it here, Cerrone, but the Patriots have to show up and tackle today. You have to show up and tackle every week. Oh, tackling, what a take, Barth. Good idea. No, tackling is always important in the NFL. It's especially important today. There's less room for error today. They got to show up. They got to tackle. They got to be swarming to the football. They cannot allow that extra hidden yardage. And the big player really that stands out to me in this is Robert Spillane, because whether it's coming downhill against the run, he's a guy we can maybe see used as a spy on Josh Allen, whether it's cleaning up after some short completions over the middle. He is going to be at the point of attack a lot today, and you brought him in to play that exact role. That is why he's here. That's what he did at a high level in Vegas. Obviously did not start the year out well. Missed more tackles than he made over the first 2 games. Doesn't have a missed tackle at all in the last 2 games, so it's gotten better. They need that version of Robert Spillane they got the last 2 weeks. They need that guy today. Everybody needs to be tackling today, but Robert Spillane, this could be a game where Robert Spillane ends up with 10, 12, 13, 14 tackles if all goes well for the Patriots.
Yeah, this is because we've talked about it for the last hour and a half. This team loves to run the football. They lead the league in attempts, yards per carry, touchdowns. They're the best rushing team in the league. And it's not because it's just one guy. They have a bunch of guys with the ability to make you miss and gain extra yards, especially difficult on third down. If it's 3rd and 6, this team will still run the ball. They'll run draws on you and get the first downs. Josh Allen to get out and run the ball. You have to be able to tackle. You have to be disciplined. You have to contain this team. If not, they don't just miss tackles and gain an extra 2 or 3 yards. You miss against any of these guys, they're running down the sideline.
Right.
That's who they're like a good college team. They're just a speedy team with great athletes across the board. And in years past with Josh Allen, if you contain him, he'd move around, he'd take chances with the football and was just a turnover machine. They don't turn the ball over anymore. They just completely stop turning the ball over. Josh Allen, I think, has 1 interception this season. He doesn't turn the ball over. Last 2 years, he just stopped doing it. It's pretty amazing to watch a guy do that, but they're not going to give the ball away. And they're going to be disciplined on third down. You're going to have to make this team march. You're going to have to make plays on third down. And it comes down, like you said, tackling players. Doesn't matter who it is. If he's got a Bills uniform on, you got to be able to wrap up and you got to fly to the ball. If not, they're going to burn you. And like I said, they don't turn it over. They're not putting the ball on the ground. They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot, and you can't help them out by missing tackles. It's a key to this game. It's a key to the Patriots. They're free agent moves they've made. Milton Williams and Spillane, like you said, Carlton Davis. These are the guys. This is why you pay the big money, for them to play against teams like this and make plays. And it could be as simple as not getting fumbles or interceptions, just simply making tackles on third down to force this team into their kicking game.
Another sneaky important player for the Patriots in this one for me defensively is Marcus Jones. And he's primarily been a special teamer this year. Obviously, he's done a very good job. Won Special Teams Player of the Week last week. But the guy that really scares me from Buffalo, like skill positions. Obviously, Josh Allen is the driver of the bus. But maybe more than James Cook in this matchup for me is Khalil Shakir, because that shifty yards after catch slot guy has, and it was Isaiah McKenzie before, but like whoever's in that role has killed the Patriots in these matchups. Maybe you put Christian Gonzalez in the slot on him, and we talked about this earlier with Christopher Price, and if you missed the interview, you can go back and find the show, Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, wherever you get your podcasts, or on the Sports Hub YouTube channel. I like Gonzalez on Keon Coleman, take him out of the game. You can put Carlton Davis on Dalton Kincaid, who they basically use as a big slot receiver.
Yeah,
it is in gotta have it situations. Obviously, if they're coming out 22 personnel, whatever, you line it up differently. But when they're in 11 and they're using Kincaid as that slot guy, Gonzalez on Coleman, Davis on Kincaid, Marcus Jones to me is the guy on Isaiah McKenzie. They cannot get beat speed for speed at the slot position again, like they have by the Bills so many times the last few years.
Do you think I know we kind of haven't really touched on it much. The Patriots front, their down line, do you think they can get to Josh Allen and make him get rid of the ball quicker than he wants? Do you think they can apply pressure on this Bills offensive line?
So part of the evolution of Josh Allen, and we've kind of touched on it a few times, he's getting the ball out quicker than he ever has before. I'm assuming a big part of Buffalo's game plan today is going to be getting the ball in and out of his hands, and a lot of quick hitters, and they'll take their shots. They're Buffalo. I don't think it's going to be the way it's been the last few years. I think they're going to be targeted. I think they're going to be few and far between. I think you're going to see a lot of three-step, get to the back foot, and the ball's out, or shotgun, quick turn, balls out from Josh Allen. I actually like the Patriots' defensive line against the Bills' offensive line in this matchup, but I think Buffalo knows that, and I think they're going to game plan around that. So the Patriots' defensive front has been maybe their best unit overall this season, offense or defense, and I think Buffalo makes it a major point to make that group a non-factor in this game.
Yeah, I think, and I brought that up because I think with the injury to Kaysam on the outside, I think this could be an opportunity for Keion White to get back into good graces. And I say that because I think he's one of the guys that's athletic enough to make things hard for Josh Allen. I think he has not just the ability to get to the quarterback. When Josh Allen gets out and tries to move, I think Keion White actually has the wheels and the lateral movement to make it harder on him. I think it's just a fit or a matchup thing. Not saying he's just Keion White's a skilled guy and whatever. No, we expected him to be that. But I do think his natural physical gifts play an advantage against the Bills, because I think he's one of the defensive linemen they have that can, I would say step for step, but can run with the Josh Allen when he gets on the outside.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I actually think Anthony Jennings is the guy in this game because he's more disciplined. And he's going to hold that edge. He's not going to get Josh Allen out of the pocket. The thing I wonder with Keion White is he's been really almost primarily an edge player. He played inside a few times last week, but primarily an edge player because you have Christian Barmore, you have Milton Williams, you have Kyrus Tonga. I mean, these guys have all been awesome. There's just not a lot of snaps to be had on the interior. But if Milton Williams is banged up and can't give you his normal workload, I'd like to see Keion White in the interior in this game. I'm not benching any of those other three guys to do it outright, but if Milton Williams is hurt, and all right, he's been playing whatever it is, I think like 70, 80% of the snaps, all right, well, now he can only play 50. Where do those other snaps go? Instead of increasing Tonga's role a ton, I would play Keion White on the inside. And then he can still use those athletic tools, like you said, to kind of track Josh Allen down, but you still get the disciplined edge setter in Anthony Jennings. So it'll be interesting to see how they balance all of that. But ultimately, at least against the pass, it all might be a moot point, because I think they're just going to get the ball in and out of Josh Allen's hands and not allow those guys to take over this game. Which goes back to my main point. If that's how the Bills want to play, they're banking on yards after the catch. So you have to tackle at the point of attack. So important for the Patriots in this game. That's a couple quick thoughts on the defense. Let's get into the offense and that side of things, and Drake Maye as we keep going here after the break on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
Either you wanted out or wanted a fresh start. What's the truth behind that?
I mean, it's the nature of the business, I guess. Obviously, it was hard for me. It was a difficult time, obviously. I spent so much time there. I built a lot of bonds, a lot of friendships. So it's obviously going to be hard and emotional. So for me, I look forward to going back, seeing those guys. And it's just the nature of the business. I'm trying to, I'm not in control of nothing. What's up, little bro? I'm not in control of nothing. I get open, I catch the ball, but as far as like the internal stuff, obviously I miss those guys over there. You spend a lot of time with people, it becomes more personal rather than just professional. So when I say it's the nature of the business, that's just how it goes.
A lot of
Stefon Diggs set to make his return to Buffalo this week. It's Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle, Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. We actually have like a little more. Usually we got to get out. It's 9:50, 9:45. Obviously, we're not going to run it too long, but like it's just a little more relaxed.
9:59 if we wanted to. Nobody can tell us anything.
It's a little more relaxed environment this morning with the game not coming up right after. What we do have coming up right after, though, George Bilecki and Tyler Milliken.
It's been
first time
non-stop back here.
Has it?
These two have not stopped.
I'm expecting some epic Red Sox stuff from these two. So you got that to look forward to coming up after us. And then we'll have, I think we have the Cowboys game, right? Is what we're covering at 1 o'clock. And then get this, I'm back on at 4. We're going to do another pre-game because we can't, I got to be the lead-in to the pregame show. So because they're not on right after us today, well, I'll have you from 4 or whenever the Cowboys game ends until 5:30, and that will take us into pregame with it's a primetime game, so it's Beadle and Chris Gasper. No Jim Murray today. Beadle and Chris Gasper, and then Mark Dendero and Joe Murray will be back with you postgame after Bob and Zoe have the call. Full day here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Stefon Diggs will be one of the stories we'll be talking about all day. I'm sure even George and Milliken will get into Stefon Diggs a little bit. He goes back to Buffalo for the first time. Did play the Bills last year, had a solid game. That was in Houston when he was with the Texans. Talked about the emotions of it this week. I'm fired up. I'm so glad that this is coming after a game where things started to click. And we're not talking about Stefon Diggs going in and is he doing enough? Are the Patriots getting enough out of him? Look, it can't be all that one game, but I think they just pulled some levers last week that make sense. His playing time increased again, which I think that there was probably a little bit of an ease him in process coming off the torn ACL, but his usage went up. Everybody's talking about him playing more in the slot. He did play more in the slot. He also played more outside. He just played more, and they did a bunch of different things with him. His 2 big plays came from the outside. He's running a bunch of different routes. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Patriots use him in this game.
The play last week, late in the game, the deep it's kind of back shoulder throw from Drake Maye. We actually got a chance to he planted his foot. He threw it deep. Diggs stopped short and made the catch. I thought that was the best pass and catch moment from a Patriots quarterback and receiver in the last 4 years. I know it wasn't a pressure moment. It wasn't against an elite team. That play alone gave me hope with this passing offense. Like, okay, that's a play we haven't seen. The protection up front was there. Drake Maye planting his feet was there. The throw was there. The catch, the timing with the receiver. And I'm like, okay, now you have a chance with Diggs to have those big play moments where you can, it's 3rd and 17. It's like, oh man, he got that. Like, they have a guy that can make that kind of play. And I think that was a confidence builder for everybody, the entire offense, the coaching staff. Everybody saw that and said, okay, we got something here. And I think going into a game like tonight, you're going to have those moments where you're going to get Diggs one-on-one, and Drake's going to have the opportunity to make the play, and Diggs can make the catch on the other end. Is it going to happen a lot over and over again? No. But I think the ability of having that now changes the way defenses look at this Patriot offense. Because it's like, okay, we're going to play the underneath. And all of a sudden now you're making these plays downfield, changes everything. It opens everything up. And we might get a Pop Douglas sighting somewhere, but I think it's all based off what the other guys are doing on the outside. But the combination between Diggs and Drake Maye, I think is getting better as time goes on. And it's only uphill and good news for this Patriots team going forward.
So you mentioned potentially sighting of another wide receiver. How about this guy? DD in North Carolina has a thought. DD.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you're having a good Sunday. I'm really hoping, and every week I watch this team, I'm just waiting for Kyle Williams to pop off. And after last week, I'm just like, if you can get Diggs going in the slot, Williams just provides an element that they don't have, but benefits everybody. And you cannot afford as a team to take a guy like that everybody else wanted in the draft and don't develop him or it doesn't pan out. You got to get him going because he does provide something that you don't have, but you do need.
Thanks for the call, DD. I have been on this train too. Well, everybody's screaming for Efton Chisholm. It's nothing against Efton Chisholm. Kyle Williams is a better player.
He's a playmaker.
He's a playmaker. He's got speed. He's a threat after the catch, all that. Now, it didn't feel like it last week, but he did pass Pop Douglas in terms of usage, at least for that game. He played 20 snaps. I think Douglas played 9. So he was on the field more. And they did try to get him the ball on an end around. It didn't work, but like they did try to get him involved. It's tough. Where does he fit in? I think they have that top group of Diggs, Booty, and Mac Hollins. And they like that group, and I know people roll their eyes at Mac Hollins.
I think he's been better than advertised.
He's been solid. He hasn't been amazing.
Yeah.
He's been solid. He shows up as a blocker, and he's shown up in the red zone, which is basically that's what he needed to do. That's what you look at him and you say, okay, this is where this guy can be a threat. What I might like to see them do, and the caller mentioned Diggs in the slot again, they moved him around a little bit, but when you get into the obvious pass, right? 2nd and long, 3rd and long, 2-minute, things like that. Is that where you pull, and this is what they were doing with Pop, is that where you pull Mac Hollins and that becomes Kyle Williams' spot? And you get Kyle Williams at the Z, so now you have Booty at the X, Kyle Williams at the Z, Diggs in the slot. And that there's good speed on the field there.
Yeah,
there's good speed.
Good speed.
That's a group the defense has to be honest about vertically. Maybe that's where Kyle Williams starts getting mixed in a bit more.
Yeah, and I think just as much as we know Kyle Williams has the potential to be a playmaker, he's a big play threat if he gets the ball in his hands and he gets hit in stride or something like that.
Yeah.
As much as we know it, the defense knows it too.
Right.
And I think times when he's on the field, they're being alerted. Hey, don't let him do this. Don't let him get behind you. And it's kind of taking him out of it. Like, man, how come he can't just get going? They have to be careful with that because the other team knows this kid's ability too. And I think, but again, the more reps he gets, the more time he's on the field, the more he'll get opportunities to shake free. But I think he has the ability to make, it doesn't need 10 catches, but if he gets 3 or 4, one of them's going to be a big play. And sometimes that's all it matters. And if average NFL game is what? A 6-point game, is a 1-possession game or whatever it is. If he can make that one play to extend a possession, get you in the end zone or whatever, he's done his job. But I think his time will come. But I want to see him incorporate in this offense. But I don't want to take, some of these other guys off the field because I think it's been working. Drake Maye's completing over 70% of his throws. I don't want to throw that off. But I think you can get a way to get Kyle Williams on the field. And also I want to see him and Travion Henderson used in the pass game a little different than the way they've been using in the screen game, whatever. I want to see him in the slot and other situations like that. But I think as this team goes on, they have the athletes and the burners on this roster that can be big play guys down the line.
You mentioned Drake Maye completing a lot of his passes, by the way. So last week was his 3rd straight game with a completion percentage over 75% and 2 touchdown passes. If he does another this week, he ties Tom Brady for the most such games in a row. Brady had 4 such games in 2007. So that feels kind of significant. You mentioned just kind of that group and you feel like it's working well. Where are you at with Kayshon Boutte? So he has the big game in the opener, 6 catches for 103 yards. Since then, he's had 4 catches for, I got to go by game here. I'm not doing the math in my head, 16, 28, and 18 yards. Did have a touchdown in that game against Miami, but do you think he's somebody maybe, because they'll play Kyle Williams at the X. They worked on that this spring. Do you think we can maybe see a grouping of Williams, Hollins, Diggs?
Yes, I think you can. I think you will. I think the only reason Boutte's still out there, I think him and Maye have a good connection. I think they've had it since last season. There's something still there. He kind of looks for him in certain situations, but I can see Kyle Williams slowly taking in to get those reps from him, especially if his production is still down. I mean, maybe it's a matchup thing. They're working on certain things. Maybe there's going to be a day where it's Keyshawn Booty's time to get a matchup. It could be these Saints, Titans, and Browns where he eats them up. But I think the connection and chemistry there with Maye is the only reason they haven't really pulled the trigger on that. Because Maye, I don't know how many reps he's really had with Kyle Williams going all the way through the summer. And I think that's the only reason Williams isn't thrown in that spot now. But I think over time, it'll go from 25%, 50, half the reps. The next thing you know is Kyle Williams' show. So I think that's coming down the line. But for right now, I'm sticking with Booty.
You mentioned Travion Henderson earlier with the running backs. I asked this to Christopher Price. I'll ask this to you. How do you want to see them used today? Because they don't have the margin for error for turnovers. Obviously, Ramondre Stevenson was better last week, but he's shown that he's prone to putting the ball on the ground. Is this the week against a weak run defense that you maybe try a little harder to get Travion Henderson going? I would
love to see him get his touches. I think he has the ability to silence a crowd on the road. He's that kind of guy. He's a guy that, he'll break one tackle, next thing you know, he's gone. I think he would have had one last week if dude didn't trip him, but I think he has the ability to break one, and you want to get a guy like that more touch, and he doesn't put the ball on the ground. So that's huge. But I think today, It's a big game for Stevenson. I think he can potentially have a game like he had down in Miami, where he's the guy dominating with the ball.
Yeah.
Long as he didn't put it on the ground, and we're always going to be looking at him like that. Like the next carry is going to be a fumble, but I think he's going to have a big game today, a big day, and I think they need him to. But I would love to see Travion Henderson used not so much as a running back, but like I said, almost like a James White. Put him out and get a linebacker runner matched up. Spread him out. And see if they can cover this kid in the open field. A weak linebacking group at that. See if they can cover him, and it completely changes and unlocks that offense. So I want to see Henderson with the ball. But I think Ramondre has a big game today. I think they need him to have a big game. He just has to hold on to that ball.
If he has a game like he had in Miami, I kind of feel good about the Patriots in this one.
Yeah.
Like, I
think he can. I think he has the ability to do it against his team. Against his defense, I think he can.
If you're telling me he puts up 140 yards, I'd feel good. Now, I think he can do it on the ground. I think he can do what he did against Miami on the ground. What I wonder is the pass game element.
The pass game. Is he going to get that big 40-yard pass, whatever it was?
And that's where the Bills have two key injuries we've been monitoring all week, Matt Milano and Ed Oliver. So we'll start with Oliver. That one's a little more cut and dry. Defensive tackle, he's been a good player in this league. Oh, man, I felt so old when Jared Wilson called him like a experienced veteran. I remember when he committed to college, and that was a big deal because he was he might have been the first 5-star that went to a non-Power 5 school, because at the time Houston wasn't a Power 5 school.
Mm-hmm.
And he's come into the league and he's absolutely lived up to that. Yeah, he was the first ESPN 5-star to commit to a school outside the Power 5. He is only 27. Okay, so I don't feel quite as old, but he's a really good player. Against the run and the pass, he's kind of there. Christian Barmore does some similar things.
Yep.
If they don't have him, and he's questionable, missed the last couple of games, he is questionable, did return to practice this week, hadn't practiced last week. They did elevate a couple defensive tackles from the practice squad. So that maybe is a sign that, okay, if he's not full go, or even if he's playing, he's not full go, and they're going to have some other guys rotating in there. If they don't have him, you got to attack the weak spot and run the ball up the middle with the Patriots. You got to lean on Garrett Bradbury and Jared Wilson and Mike Onwenu. Matt Milano, Patriots fans, I'm sure are familiar with. He's been in Buffalo for a while now. Really athletic linebacker, does a lot of different things. He might get Stevenson in some of those coverage assignments.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's not on the field, now it's another opportunity throwing to Stevenson to attack a weakness. And maybe that's Terrell Bernard, who's been a decent player for them, was drafted a couple years ago, but he's not Milano. That could be an opportunity for the Patriots to exploit a mismatch.
Yeah, I think they could take advantage of these linebackers. I think Gibson is a great pass-catching running back. He can get out there and catch the ball as well. I think he can have a big – we talk about Travion Henderson. And with them being weak in the middle on the D-line and having injuries in the next level, those linebackers, the Patriot running backs, we've said it over and over again, I think they're the key to this game today. And I think if this team, if they can establish the run and be consistent with it, not saying run it 40, 44 times or whatever it is, but be good and always fall forward. You can't get behind the sticks, can't get penalties, things like that. If they're falling forward, they're getting extra yards, and Henderson's been good at that as well. I think this puts the Bills in trouble. They have to be able to run the ball, and they have to stick with it. I think it opens up the play action. It opens up the downfield for maybe a Kyle Williams, maybe a Keyshawn Boutte, or maybe even Pop Douglas on a double move. Running the football opens everything else. And the key guys we haven't talked about the whole show, the tight ends.
Yeah.
I think Hunter Henry could have a chance for a big game. Again, backup linebackers, you being able to run the ball, heavy on the play action. I think the tight ends can have themselves a day. I think this could be an old school game for the Patriots, something I think Vrabel would love. Run the football, play action, tight ends, throw it to the running back side of the backfield, get that defense coming up and catch them big behind the secondary late. I think the opportunity is there for them to do this. They just have to be consistent and do not turn the ball over. That's the key to this whole game.
All right, let's take a quick break. Come back. Game picks as we wrap it up here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
Considering.
For the best football coverage, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, let's get it, Cerrone. Game picks. Patriots-Bills. Patriots are a 7.5-point favorite. The 48.5-point total. Who you got in this one?
I'm going to get the Bills at home in a good close game. I think the Patriots do cover that, though. I'm going to go like 28-24 Buffalo. I think they hold on late, run the ball, get a late first down on the ground, and kind of seal it from there. But I expect a good, clean game on both sides. I think just the Bills are just the better team, and I think that 4 points is the difference. 28-24 Buffalo.
I said 38-31 on Toucher and Hardy earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring that down a little bit, just studying a little bit more. I think it's probably a bit much for what this game is. I'm going to say 34-24 Bills, but I think there's like a late score by Buffalo. that gives them a 2-score win. I think this is ultimately going to be a 1-score game. It's going to feel like a 1-score game for the vast majority. I don't think it comes down to the final play or anything, but I think it comes down to the final quarter. I think the Patriots are in it. But ultimately, I just think they're a little too far away right now. But I do think, to bring it back to the beginning of the show and my theme of the week, what are the Patriots closer to the Carolina Panthers or the Buffalo Bills, the two opposite ends of the NFL spectrum? As they're kind of in this rebuild, what side are they closer to? I think we get to come away from this talking about them being closer to the Bills. It doesn't mean they're close to the Bills, but I think we come away saying they're closer to the Bills than the Panthers, and this kind of 500 season, step forward season that a lot of people have been projecting, I think you see that bear itself out tonight. Ryan, what do you got? Sorry, Saron, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You guys go ahead.
Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, I think the Patriots are probably closer to like the Jets and the Dolphins and all the other teams, and I think they probably are closer to the Panthers right now. I think that Buffalo will continue to do the same and easily score 30 points on this team. I think they're going to cover, and chances are you're going to probably get like a 30 to 14, maybe 30 to 17 if Borregales hits his field goals. But I think the Bills are going to cover this, and we are right back to reality with this football team.
That'd be disappointing. I'm not saying it's impossible. That'd be disappointing. Coming off the first month of the Patriots had to just get a big cold shower on Sunday Night Football.
I think the one thing that, and we touched on a little earlier, I think just as much as we're not sure with this Patriots team, do we really know how good the Bills are? Do we think they're as good as Philly? Or they just really had it? We thought that win against the Ravens, oh my God, look at the Bills are back. And now we're looking at the Ravens like if they lose today, their season's over. Like, are we sure that the Bills are really on the level of the top teams in the NFL? Like, do you think they're better than the Chargers, or you think they're better than if they're with the Eagles, or even Kansas City at this point?
Let me ask you this.
Are we sure?
Well, relatively speaking, I don't know that the best teams in the NFL, that tier is on the level that it is in other years. Like,
right, it's not that high anymore.
We're looking for those like 2 or 3 obvious Super Bowl contenders. Even Philly has its warts.
Yeah.
Good team, best defense in the league. I don't know that they're like a clear, definitive best team in the NFC. I think if you're looking for that kind of team, with the Chiefs were the past few years, with the Eagles were the past few years, I don't think that team through 1 month exists.
No,
I just
think
don't think
right.
it does. Everybody's flawed. So the Bills are one of the best teams in the NFL, and the Bills are not what they've been in recent years. I think both can be true. The Bills are a worse team than they've been, and they're still one of the best teams in the league because nobody's elite right now.
And you saw them against the Saints last week in a game. The Saints kept it close with the Bills. So I think we keep wondering if the Patriots are closer to Carolina, closer to Buffalo. I think Buffalo and Carolina aren't that far apart. I don't think anybody's that far from being good or being bad in the league. Week to week, a good team is losing and a bad team is, squeaking out a win against a good team. It's just weird, but I don't think the gap is that wide in the competition in the NFL this year.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. And Patriots-Bills coverage starts at 5:30. If you missed any of this show, you want to catch it, Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff on YouTube. Also, Patriots Hub podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Show actually has a shelf life this week with an 8:30 game. How about that? So we'll have, again, pregame with Mark Bertrand and Chris Gasper starting at 5:30. Before that, though, coming up next, I'm excited for this one. I was legitimately excited when I saw this on the schedule. First-time combination on the Sports Hub, George Bilecki and Tyler Milliken.
Let us cook, please.
We'll take you through the next 3 hours. What do you guys got coming up? You going to do a lot of Red Sox talk?
A lot of Red Sox. I'm here to cry, and obviously George is probably the worst person to be here when I'm crying and working through a lot of these emotions, but we're going to do it. There's a lot of Yankees fandom and love over here. It's a sick thing he has going on.
That's right.
I'll have comments on that.
He's not at Neston anymore. He can let all that out. So you're not going to want to miss that. 617-779-0985. You want to talk to those guys. I'll be back at 4 o'clock, by the way, too.
You're a sick man, Barth.
I'll talk to you later this afternoon. I'll also talk to you on the headlines, and it's right to these guys with no commercials. Thanks for tuning in this morning, and I'll talk to you later, I guess.
From the Tell Your Type Studios, WBZ-FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Easily Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub Headline, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Patriots are back in prime time tonight in Buffalo, taking on the Bills to wrap up Week 5 NFL Sunday. We'll have coverage of that game right here on 98.5 The Sports Pregame gets underway.